Jenna Ryan, and today I'm going to go over my lawsuit with you guys. This is what PayPal is afraid of. They do not want to answer this. They do not want to respond to this. The court does not want to relate with this. The court doesn't want to allow this to even exist. This is the amended complaint that I filed on February 24, 2025, which was a month after President Trump took office, that where I put it all together, laid it all down, okay, on what really happened to me. Because it took that long pretty much for me to understand, and also because some new evidence came up that let me see what PayPal really did to me and why I've been in court for 3 years. So this is just going to go over the amended complaint, okay? So the amended complaint right here, and I'm going to go over everything with you guys. So this is in the Eastern District of Texas, Sherman, Texas. It was filed on February 24th, 2025. It was filed originally for me and my businesses, but when I lost my attorney, I could no longer have my businesses involved because you cannot represent yourself pro se for businesses. So this is Jennifer Ryan versus PayPal in civil action, second amended complaint. So this is based on new evidence that I discovered. Wait until you see it. Okay, it's in the Amos Mazant, Honorable Judge, comes plaintiff Jennifer Ryan, pro se, that's my real name, and files this second amended complaint against defendant PayPal alleging unconstitutional financial deplatforming, defamation, and coordinated suppression of speech. Hang on, I'm going to give you the goods. Plaintiff incorporates all prior pleadings and exhibits, supplementing them with newly discovered evidence without waiving claims. So no attorney wants to deal with me. No attorney cares anymore. I mean, I have an attorney, but he's busy, and I'm on my own, okay? And I find all this new evidence of what PayPal did to me. So I am like going, wait a minute, we have got to deal with this. This stuff is not on the record, and I need to have my claims resolved. And every day I deal with what PayPal did to me, okay? PayPal, along with the FBI, along with some other people and media outlets, they colluded. But anyway, I digress. Okay, parties, this is me. I used to be a PayPal user. I dropped my corporate plaintiffs because I can't represent them. So I'm hanging on by a thread. But I've got this juggernaut. I've got these claims that PayPal does not want you to hear about, that does not want the court to be able to rule on, does not want in the presence of a jury trial. This is First Amendment and due process claims. These are just horrible, horrible things that they did to me. Just wait and watch. Venue is, and I've been in court 3 years. Did I tell y'all? 3 years. 3 years stalling. I'm stayed in arbitration, which means that it's just a stall tactic. I tried to do arbitration, was impossible. That's another video. Okay, introduction. PayPal, acting as a government proxy, terminated plaintiff's account on January 21, 2021, leaked it to the media, and defamed her as an extremist post January 6th, in concert with federal agencies and media outlets. Do you know how hard it was to find evidence of all this? Let me promise you, it took many hours. It took everything I had. But I figured it out, okay? When it happens to you, you end up figuring it out. This violated her First Amendment rights, due process, and Texas law, causing severe economic, reputational, and emotional harm. This has harmed my life. It has destroyed me. Every single day, I have to live with the ramifications of what PayPal did to me in coordination with our government. Okay? So timeline. Okay, here's where it's going to get interesting. Timeline of coordinated deplatforming. If y'all remember, if you were around, if you knew me, then you'll remember this. On January 15th, the FBI raided my home. Okay? They raided my home. It was so scary. They arrested me. They called the news, okay, and showed my home on the news. Notice it is CBS News, okay? That's my home. It was very freaky to have your home on the news, just FYI. For a single woman to have her home on the news was horrible. Not to mention I was being attacked by haters, by bots, by phone calls, by and these were, some of these people were real, but others were like like bots on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. I was being attacked by everybody. Phone calls, emails, and the media. So all this stuff, okay? Media. Ugh. All right. So FBI raided plaintiff's home, Exhibit A, pre-notifying the media who filmed it for 2 misdemeanors from January 6th protesting, publicized globally. So this is for January 6th protesting. Okay, misdemeanors. So they're going to come and raid my home. Already, that reeks of what the heck. This is stupid. I don't know if y'all remember, but it was stupid. Okay, January 21. So this is just a few days later, and time was going so fast. Plaintiff tweeted about a $200 fundraiser. Okay, so let's see that. Here's my little fundraiser. I'm like, hey. I mean, I was in such duress, and I just needed support. I wanted to raise money. Lots of people raise money. It's not illegal. It's legal to have a fundraiser. And I was in all the media and all the news, and I thought, well, maybe I can get some help here. Okay? Other people have done it. It's not a bad thing. Okay? And CNET, just irritates me. But I got to do this, right? I got to do this so y'all can see. I tweeted a $200 fundraiser, okay, that CNET and, okay, I'm accepting donations to pay legal fees and losses due to my arrest and charges by the FBI for protesting at the U.S. Capitol. Thank you for your support. Any amount helps. This is a lawful fundraiser. Nobody should be treated like, a criminal for this. This is ridiculous. Okay, so then what happened? Then Daily Beast reported before my notice. Okay, so I don't even, let's see. You kind of forget everything. Okay. This is Daily Beast. PayPal shuts down account of Texas rioter who flew to the DC on a private plane. And then this is the little photo. I didn't break that window. This is me stepping 2 steps into the Capitol. Why do they have a red circle around me? Why don't they have a red circle around themselves? And then a red circle around my face. PayPal has terminated the account of a Texas real estate agent who took a private plane to the Capitol insurrection and is now begging her fellow patriots for donations to cover her legal fees. Jenna, a real estate broker and life coach, was released from custody. I mean, those words, they sound so, like I haven't even had a speeding ticket in 10 years. And they're acting like I'm this horrible person just because I went to protest. Okay, so you want to arrest me. Okay, arrest me. But you don't have to put me in all the media. But this was all coordinated. So she's being charged on a statement Thursday evening. PayPal shut down her account, saying in a statement that she was using it for more than just legal fees. So basically what they were trying to do is they were trying to make me look like an extremist. If you see here, it says extremist. I don't know how to turn this thing around, but PayPal boots Jenna Ryan, the Texas real estate agent who flew to the Capitol in a private jet to the riots. Okay, so it's saying extremist. Extremist. Notice that. Like, I'm not an extremist, but it gets better. Just wait and watch this. Okay, and so then we go to C2. PayPal kicks off, Jenna Ryan. And they had this wonderful photo of me that I so regret taking. It's the worst photo ever, but I just thought, oh my gosh, this is history. So I just took a picture. I didn't do the window, but anyway, the way they made it look is worse than it was. PayPal boots Jenna Ryan, the real estate agent who flew to the Capitol in a private jet. Okay, this is a financial institution. They are not supposed to be contacting the news. Okay, that is my private financial information. Okay? Oh, this is just painful even reading. So they've removed the media here. Where's the one from CBS? Okay, so they just put me all over the news. And this might look, natural. That's why it took me a while to figure it out. I was like, what is going on? Why are they doing this? I thought, am I that popular? I didn't know. I was like, so here we have the full statement, okay? Thursday afternoon, sharing a link to a PayPal account where supporters could offer a donation. In a tweet, Ryan said, I'm accepting donations to pay legal fees and losses due to my arrest and charges by the FBI, and later claimed she raised $1,000, which I didn't raise $1,000 from PayPal. I raised $200. That's incorrect. Anyway, CBS said by Thursday evening, PayPal had closed the account, according to Kim Eichhorn, a PayPal spokesperson. PayPal has a policy to allow fundraising for legal defense purposes, Eichhorn said to this in an email to CBS News. Oh, she said it in an email. Anyway, PayPal thoroughly reviews accounts, and if we learn that funds are used for anything other than legal defense, the account will be subject to immediate closure. We can confirm that that account has been closed. The problem is if they want to say that, first of all, I didn't give them permission to share my account status with CBS News and all the media. Second of all, this is a private financial, they have a privacy policy and they don't care. Third of all, they're blasting me to the media. So when I found out about this, it was unbelievably excruciatingly scary. Like I thought I got to do a whole new video. Unbelievably hard. It was so hard. So hard. It was so hard. I was talking to my mom and my mom was she was dying. Okay. And I had to call her and I go, Mom, they're canceling me from the banks. She was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So they're canceling me from the banks, but not only are they canceling me from the banks, but they're going to put it all over the news. I wasn't a famous person. I'm not, anyway, it's very hard. So another thing is they didn't treat BLM people the same way. They didn't treat the Minnesota Freedom. They allowed them to raise $32 million on PayPal. But me, they raised $200. And they treat me like I am an extremist. Wait until you see. It gets worse. It's so bad. It's really bad. It's bad. So there's all these articles that they were saying about me. Okay, I'm going to pull it together. Okay, so they did it within an hour. Okay, they just did it all at the same time. They sent me this message that said, you can no longer do business with PayPal. So they sent me this message. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Hang on, I gotta find it. Okay, here's the message. It says, you can no longer do business with PayPal. And I was like, this is when I was talking to my mom. I mean, I called my mom. I was like, Mom, oh my God, this is horrific. Like, I was being attacked. And then I get this message. I didn't know what was happening. I thought the world was ending. I thought the rapture was coming. I didn't know what to do. Okay. I, 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 words cannot express, okay, how painful this was. I've been with PayPal for 20 years or whatever, since 2006. I never knew that they cared. I mean, oh my God, it was awful. Okay. Where am I? Okay. January 2021 at 6:45 p.m., PayPal emailed plaintiff citing a UAP, which is their user agreement violation email from PayPal. It's vague, and it's post leak. So it's after the leak. So they leaked it and then they shared the information. I don't know when they leaked it, but all I know, it was all at the same time within an hour. January 21, 2021 at 7:30 p.m., which is 44 minutes later, CNET emailed me. Okay. So CNET emailed me and they said, hello, I cover e-commerce for CNET. And so whenever I got the message from PayPal, that's not when I was scared. I mean, I was scared, but this is when I really got scared. Because when I realized that now the whole world was going to know I was kicked off of PayPal, I was really scared. Like, I was so scared. How is my business going to survive? How am I going to survive? Like, I'm not going to be able to use the commerce system. Like, what? Hello, I cover e-commerce for CNET, the tech publication. And all these reporters were calling me. PayPal has told me they shut down an account for Jenna Ryan because she's fundraising for purposes other than legal defense in violation of the company's policies. First of all, that's not in violation of the policies, but that's neither here nor there. That's not what flipped me out. What flipped me out is, why is CNET emailing me about my PayPal account? Like, PayPal, I use PayPal to buy like stuff at Victoria's Secret. Literally, if you look at my receipts, if you go back and look at my PayPal account from way back when, I mean, I might have bought some lipstick. Like, why is PayPal telling CNET? Why? I wanted to offer Jenna the opportunity to comment. Thanks in advance for your response. To me, this was like a dagger. This was like horrific. I was like, oh my God, the media is going to know. The media was already attacking me, but this was going to take it to a whole nother level. You know, and I'm like, what? Who's CNET? Oh my God, I've heard of them. I told my mom, I'm like, I'm not telling anybody. And the next thing you know, it's on CNET. It's on CBS. And then it's world news. Ugh, hurts to talk about this. PayPal was claiming that I had non-legal fundraising. Then on January 21, 2021 at 7:49, CBS published about the account closure. So that's right here. I just showed y'all that. And that's whenever I went over to Instagram and I was like, and they were like, it's everywhere. We know it's everywhere. You were canceled from PayPal. And then I have all of these horrible comments that people would make to me. They were like, way to go, PayPal. Way to get rid of a terrorist, horrible person. And I received thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these comments. Okay, and people calling me and texting me and so happy that I was kicked out of the banks. Okay, I can show y'all that, but not right now. I didn't include it here for whatever reason. I should have included it here. So, what's this one? I haven't bought it yet. And I can't get in court, y'all. They won't let me go to court. They won't let me go to court. The judge will not give me any jury trial, nothing. They're forcing me into arbitration, which is not good because I tried to go and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So this is them just making statements about me. They don't even know me. What a horrible company. Like, what they did to me is way worse than what I did. I protested. But they're like freaking doxing me. And they're not held accountable. This is sick. Okay. January 21, Kim Eichhorn, which I know who she is. She was the reputation manager for PayPal. Oh, this just feels like being steamrolled and not being able to help yourself. Like being put on a train that is going off the tracks and there's nothing you can do. And you can't protect yourself. January 2022, which is the next day, Reuters, basically it was everywhere. And the next day, I was deplatformed from everything. I was deplatformed from every Facebook, Instagram, Zillow. My office kicked me out. People were wanting my real estate license revoked. It was extremely horrible. I don't know how anybody could survive that. I don't know how I survived. It was awful. Okay. Because my whole entire life was on Facebook. I was there since Facebook opened. I was there every single day saying hello to everybody. And I would have all these positive things, and I had a huge business, and I had all kinds of things over there. I had a Self-Love You where I had like 20,000 people all over the world. I had everything, and they were taking everything from me. They were taking it all away by making me into something that I'm not. And then they were trying to say that everybody was doing all these things, and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? Okay. B, evidence of collusion. Government pressure. Post January 6th, FinCEN FBI held Zoom meetings with PayPal where they were told to flag MAGA and Trump. Okay, this is a huge little find that I found. Okay, it's Exhibit G. Financial surveillance. So somewhere on here, PayPal and FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, initiated multiple discussions with financial institutions, including U.S. Bank, PayPal, all of these places. So they called the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury, and the FBI under the Biden administration, reached out to these people, these banks, and were asking them to discuss options to share customer information voluntarily with federal law enforcement outside of the normal legal process. So this is illegal. There's no due process. It's spying. The information obtained by the committee and select committee, subcommittee also shows that law enforcement and private institutions shared intelligence products in the aftermath of January 6th through a web portal run by the Domestic Security Alliance Council, DSAC. The DSAC is a public-private partnership led by the FBI's Office of Private Sector and the Department of Homeland Security, Office of Intelligence and Analysis. The DSAC promotes the exchange of security and intelligence information between federal government and its 650 member companies. Following January 6th, the FBI shared an intelligence product titled Domestic Violent Extremists, Likely Emboldened in Aftermath of Capitol Breach, prepared by the FBI, the DHS, and the National Counterterrorism Center with financial institutions to alert them to individuals that may fit the profile of criminals and domestic violent extremists. This is concerning. The FBI intelligence product, along with other materials shared by federal law enforcement, detail the extent to which federal law enforcement derisively viewed American citizens. For example, one report shared that those who had expressed opposition to firearm regulations, open borders, COVID lockdowns, vaccine mandates, deep state, may be potential domestic terrorists. Federal law enforcement used this report and materials like it to commandeer financial institutions, databases, and asked the financial institutions to conduct sweeping searches of individuals not suspected of committing any crimes. For example, federal law enforcement suggested that banks filter Zelle payments using keywords like MAGA and Trump as part of an ostensible investigation into the events of January 6th, and also warned that those who purchase books, including religious texts, and subscriptions to other media containing extremist views could be evidence of homegrown violent terrorism. FinCEN also distributed materials to financial institutions, instructing them on how to code people, to search through their transactions to detect potential criminals or extremists. FinCEN seems to have adopted a characterization of these Americans as potential threat actors and subject to surveillance. So whistleblowers have come out. The main thing is, where's the one about? Okay. The committee, this is the Zoom calls. The committee and select subcommittee have obtained documents showing that the federal law enforcement investigation predicated on the events that transpired at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th devolved into a fishing expedition for Americans' financial data. Federal law enforcement agents, including FinCEN and the FBI, treated lawful transactions as suspicious and shared information with financial institutions through backdoor channels, often circumventing materials exhibiting a clear animus towards conservative viewpoints. In addition, FinCEN and the FBI relied on Zoom call discussions, private and online government-run portals, as well as sweeping searches of financial institutions' records to conduct its investigation. Given the important civil liberties at stake, federal law enforcement's overreach and political bias is alarming. Federal law enforcement used informal meetings and back-channel discussions with financial institutions to devise the best methods for gathering Americans' private financial information. Okay? So these Zoom meetings were held, at least 5 of them, and I've got PayPal included in another minute. Oh, there they are. PayPal, So so these folks right here are all in this field, all in this Zoom call where they're talking about conservative people or anybody who was at the riots. And they're basically trying to skewer us and turn us, and we know what happened. We were there. Those of us who went through it. And if you watched, you saw what they did. These Zoom meetings, at least 5 of these Zoom meetings, were scheduled by FinCEN officials and financial institutions and included the subject Capitol riots. Viewed together, these meetings suggest that federal law enforcement officials were brainstorming informal methods outside of normal legal processes, which means without due process, for obtaining private customer information from financial institutions. And then there's a whole report. There's the DASAC portal. Okay, so this is a congressional report. So if you're a pro se person and you're trying to prove something, having a congressional report is very useful and helpful because it shows that it's not just some chick saying it, that it's like really did happen. So PayPal is out. Wait, how do I get out of here? PayPal is out having conversations about conservatives and January 6th people, and who knows what they said on those meetings. But if you look here, it looks like they were Congress on April 24th of 2024 reached out to Alex Chris, the CEO of PayPal, asking for documents related to this illegal spying by the FBI and FinCEN. So I'm wondering whenever they had these meetings on January 6th, did they tell PayPal, hey, do not allow people from J6 to fundraise? And so I have proof of all this, but I'm trying to build the story. Like I have all this. So just hang with me, okay? So it all fits together. So post January 6th, FinCEN held meetings with PayPal flagging Trump under the Treasury's DVE, which is Domestic Violent Extremist Financing Crackdown, I and J. So Exhibit I is the Treasury, where they're talking about domestic terrorism, where they're trying to combat in 2021 domestic violent extremism. This needs to be, I need to submit this to Kash Patel or something. This is ridiculous. Okay, so the DVE, I and J. Now, on Exhibit J, that's important because this is where U.S. financial institutions scramble to address domestic terrorism as DOJ prepares scrutiny. So this is a little bit after I was attacked, but it kind of gives you the same vibe. Banks and other financial institutions in the U.S. are scrambling to address the threats posed by a renewed government focus on domestic terrorism. So this is right in the beginning of Biden's administration, and they are going to crack down on domestic terrorism. People who write MAGA, people who buy Bibles, people who oppose, Second Amendment restrictions, people who don't want open borders, definitely J6 people. The U.S. Treasury Department started coming after people. So AML, that's anti-money laundering. Financial institutions are scrambling to address risks posed by a fresh Treasury focus on domestic extremism and terrorism. So I know now, based on all my info, that I was deemed to be a domestic extremist, a domestic terrorist. a violent domestic extremist. PayPal Holdings has taken the most public step yet to address the threat, announcing late last month that it is partnering with the Anti-Defamation League, a nonprofit organization this organization is like the opposite. It's called the Defamation League. It is so bad. It's like so bad. But they're looking for the anti-Semitism. That's not what they're about. This is like they're gaslighting. Hate crimes and to track financial activity linked to domestic extremism and terrorism. So basically, this kind of shows that PayPal attacked me as trying to say that I am a domestic extremist, which fits right in with what CBS said about me in their article. So if you go back here and remember, that's not it. If you go back here and remember, nope. If you go back here and remember, domestic extremist threat high. So they were trying to call me an extremist. Okay. Ugh. So there was congressional oversight and PayPal. Why would PayPal do this? What would motivate PayPal to be so cruel and come and start targeting people from J6 or targeting conservatives? And I propose that they were targeting conservatives because they would be charged. Like here on this penalty, they received a penalty for basically FinCEN is very, 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 the Department of Treasury is FinCEN. They're hot and heavy on financial institutions, and they control financial institutions. And this is one example. So this was back a long time ago, but they were fined $7 million for not doing whatever the Treasury wanted. So PayPal's like, oh, I better do what's right. I better follow their rules or else, we'll lose money, basically. So PayPal has to stay in line and do whatever FinCEN says because FinCEN sanctions people. And if you notice Exhibit J, where's Exhibit J? Exhibit J. It talks about Exhibit J. It talks about how, that not only can these financial institutions be fined, but they can actually face criminal charges if they don't do the right thing when it comes to J6 people. Lack of domestic terrorism blacklist problematic for banks. You don't say. They created their own blacklist. The challenge for financial institutions is that it can be difficult to distinguish between free speech and activism from extremism and potential domestic terrorism without clear guidance and even blacklisting by government authorities. There's no indication the U.S. government plans to create this blacklist. Yeah, right. This one was really weird. And I think this was on the PayPal website, this article. I can't remember. Here it is. The devil is going to be in the details, says Jennifer Ambul, chief of the Justice Department's Bank Integrity Unit. From my end, I want clear expectations for how these priorities should be incorporated into the BSA program, because those institutions then that generally want to comply with the law, and then those who generally don't desire to comply with the law, that's where we will be looking into willful violations and criminal prosecutions. So there's something that they were wanting, the Treasury was wanting these financial institutions to do about domestic terrorism, that if they didn't do it, they could be criminally prosecuted. So that explains why the hell PayPal went out of their way to immediately call the media when I had a fundraiser and shut me down. Like, they didn't really care What do they care? They're a $1 billion company, $40 billion. What do they care about my $200 fundraiser? Well, they're pressured from the Treasury, from FinCEN, from the executive branch of Biden, who is calling everybody extremists, domestic terrorists. That's where they got the pressure from. And so that's why they did what they did. This coordinated pressure campaign directly led to PayPal's decision to terminate plaintiff's account and publicly expose her financial information, effectively silencing her lawful political expression. So it's part of a bigger machine. So, and I think it's even bigger than this, but I don't have proof of it. I feel like, they're like, get her. That's how I felt. I felt attacked personally, but it looks like something flagged me, and PayPal was like, ooh, we better go tell the news so that we can alert FinCEN that we are not allowing these domestic terrorists to raise money on our platform. Because if we don't, we're going to be charged millions and millions of dollars later. And also, PayPal is all in bed with the ADL, and the ADL is a very hate-oriented group. And so I don't really know about their business, but all I know is they attacked me, and it harmed my life, and it closed down my fundraiser. I wasn't able to raise money. I wasn't able to do anything. I had to change my name. I had to close my company. I went to prison, okay? Because the judge, when he sentenced me to prison, he said I was being sentenced for media interest. Not for anything I said or did, but because of media interest. And yes, I have all that proof. Media coordination. PayPal's premature account termination leaks coincided with CBS's defamatory characterization of plaintiff as an extremist, which was strategically aligned with the FBI's raid publicity. So it matches the FBI. It just matches. It all fits together like a perfect little glove, and you can just see it. These synchronized release of information suggest a deliberate, coordinated effort between PayPal, mainstream media, and government actors to construct and promote a unified narrative of guilt and extremism, as shown in all those articles. The campaign of synchronized disclosures inflicted severe reputational harm, contributed to public vilification, and denied plaintiff the presumption of innocence, violating plaintiff's constitutional rights under the First and Fifth Amendment. Horrible. PayPal's role. PayPal's actions were not independent, but directly influenced by government coordination. Dan Schulman, in his policy directive, Exhibit N, okay, Dan Schulman says he received death threats for banning accounts that sent the mob to the Capitol. So he's complaining that, this is his plan. He did it, and he's whining about it. And that's just what he was trying to do. He was trying to ban people. And this is, I have to prove what happened. And also, the risk officer for PayPal discusses intelligence sharing. Exhibit A, docket 47. Okay. This is the document that PayPal does not want you to see. This is the document that they didn't want to answer. This is a document that the judge is now saying is not legit. Okay? My life in a freaking pleading. My hell, my pain, everything I went through in a pleading. Okay? They're saying it's null. This is not important. These things that don't matter. Well, it happened to me. I'm a person. They're over there trying to fight crime. I'm not a criminal. Anyway, Exhibit A, power of partnership, joining forces to fight financial crime. So you have, this explains how PayPal and the FBI were coming together to fight financial crime. Which, that's what they were trying to accuse me of being, is a financial criminal. And they were sharing all their data. And you can go look that up if you want. Explicitly linked to PayPal's internal enforcement strategies to directives from FinCEN and the FBI, This connection refutes the defendant's claim of autonomous corporate decision making, because that's what PayPal says, is that they're just an autonomous company. They didn't do what the government told them to do. They don't have a nexus. They're not linked to the government at all. They made their own decision that they hate Jenna Ryan and that they want to ban Jenna Ryan. Nobody convinced them to do that. It wasn't a part of a plan at all. Somebody's screaming. This connection refutes the defendant's claim, and demonstrates that PayPal functioned as a state actor under government pressure. So basically, if it gets out that PayPal is a state actor, then all the people that have been harmed by PayPal will be able to do a class action because they are a state actor, and that's what I prove in my amended complaint. And so this is why they don't want this out. They can't afford to get this out because they can get class actions. However, they are so protected by the judiciary that no one ever rules against PayPal. PayPal wins every game. They win everything. Okay? Right now, they've done these things to me and I can't even get into court. They're rude, they're mean, they're nasty. It's very hurtful. Okay, also, such coordination infringes upon constitutional protections, including plaintiffs' First Amendment rights to free speech and Fifth Amendment guarantee of due process. So if a company works with the government to silence someone, it is state action and it is a violation of constitutional rights. And I never wanted to know all this, but somehow I have to know it now. And now I'm fighting to get justice. I'm fighting to get before a jury. I'm fighting for my rights. I'm fighting to make sure this never happens to anyone ever again. Okay. PayPal's court payment role. They're also the payment processor for the court, by the way. Yeah. So anyway, this one's interesting. Treasury's domestic violence extremist financing crackdown. Following January 6th, the U.S. Department of Treasury, through FinCEN, intensified its efforts to combat domestic violent extremism, DVE financing, establishing partnerships with financial institutions like PayPal to monitor and report alleged terrorism financing activities, which is what I was considered to be, obviously, which is why they banned me. And so we go to Exhibit I. This shows where they're cracking down on it. They're cracking down. They were cracking down, and they cracked down on my head and shut down my entire life and branded me as a big extremist, horrible person for the whole world when I did have I just had a good life. And I went to protest, and they blew me up to be this huge terrorist who can't even raise money. And it also gave the public the impression that I was a fraud, and I was a con, and I was a grifter, and I was smeared. And if you look on the internet, it's still there to this day. By January 2021, this expanded its framework, was actively operational, and it directly targeted the plaintiff's lawful $200 fundraiser despite no evidence of illegal activity. PayPal's subsequent account termination and unauthorized disclosure of plaintiff's financial information were not independent actions, but were influenced by government directives. This coordination effectively weaponized financial surveillance mechanisms to suppress constitutionally protected political speech, violating the plaintiff's rights under the First and Fifth Amendment. And then this is talking about how the DOJ was threatening to prosecute people, where I showed y'all in Exhibit J, where they were being threatened if they don't do what they want, what the government wants, that they would be literally criminally charged. Jennifer, what's her name? Jennifer Abul. Crazy. Okay, this pressure campaign, which was already influencing financial institutions by January 2021, prompted PayPal to enact, and I found later even better evidence, but anyway, prompted PayPal to enact a preemptive ban on plaintiff's account and unlawfully leak sensitive financial information, Exhibits D and E. So where's Exhibit E? So this is just a list of the articles, but there's a lot more. But I just kind of grabbed a list. Notice how they all say the same thing. I've run this through the AI, and they're very, very similar. And they all say real estate agent, realtor. They all say Jenna Ryan. They all say private jet, capital, PayPal. So PayPal boots, kicked off PayPal, kicked off. So they're trying to present this narrative that I need to be kicked off, that I need to be booted. And they're using me as an example. It's terrible that a judge would not want this to be seen. I mean, what kind of person that is over justice in the world would want to hide this? Who would want to hide this? This needs to be out there, and it needs to be rectified, and it needs to never happen. People in the community do not need to be attacked by the government. Okay? In an apparent effort to mitigate potential liability. So they were doing that because of pressure from FinCEN and the FBI. These coordinated actions, driven by government intimidation, directly amplify plaintiffs' reputational harm and financial losses, constituting a violation of plaintiffs' rights under the First Amendment, freedom of speech and association, and the Fifth Amendment, due process. Patriot Act surveillance. The FBI accessed Under the Patriot Act, they accessed private financial data without due process. So basically, that's why they preemptively terminated my account, because they were watching over whatever I was doing. And that's what caused them to leak it, because they didn't want to. It's just stupid. These actions, carried out without adherence to legal safeguards or due process protections, directly amplified harm to the plaintiff's reputation and livelihood. The coordination between government surveillance initiatives and PayPal's punitive enforcement constitutes a violation of the plaintiff's rights under the First Amendment, freedom of speech and association, Fourth Amendment, protection against unreasonable searches and seizures, Fifth Amendment, due process. But I can't even get any discovery because PayPal is protected by that arbitration shield. The arbitration shield is something that keeps them from having to answer for their crimes. So it's like the government is protecting PayPal and PayPal is protecting the government. They're like all protecting each other. And people like me who they want to use as an example in order to control the public just get in the way and get smashed. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm trying really hard to do something, but I can't get a judge that has any kind of care. Maybe the Supreme Court will care. Maybe not. Okay. And then it talks about selective enforcement. So people from the BLM, Minnesota Freedom Fund, were able to raise over $30 million, and they didn't get, nobody cared. Nobody cared. PayPal actually helped them to their account. They were making so much money, their account shut down, and PayPal had to go fix their account. So that's selective enforcement. That's viewpoint discrimination. And it would be one thing if PayPal truly were operating as a private company. However, due to the embeddedness of the FBI and FinCEN in controlling PayPal's censorship, it creates state action, which is illegal. It's just like your government coming in and doing it, but it's PayPal. Also, they have no problem. Oh, here's some other good things to say. M1, M2, see that people could go anytime they want and get, if they were BLM. M3, if you're arrested or harmed during BLM, you're fine. No problem. Just go right ahead. They're happy to let you. I mean, I've got lots and lots of examples. I just kind of pulled a couple here. So they're supportive of one way of thinking, but they're not supportive of a conservative way of thinking. And that would be fine if they were a private company. However, they are government run. They're the payment processor of the court. They're involved in Zoom calls with the FBI to silence and discriminate against people with political views. There's a lot more, but I'm just sharing this one pleading. I have several pleadings. So people complaining about the number of pleadings, it's because I've got a lot of evidence. This disparate treatment reveals clear viewpoint. Oh, I forgot to show you. The Capitol riot map. Look, PayPal's happy to let them. They talk bad about, this is where they're going in and they're calling all of the J6 people. PayPal's happy to let them. They're allowed to raise money. As long as you're against J6, you can raise money. Where'd it go? Wait, there it is. You can use PayPal as long as you're against J6. All right, so now we go to, you think this is fun to relive? It's not. It's very painful. This disparate treatment reveals clear viewpoint bias, targeting the plaintiff for her political associations following January 6th, while PayPal actively supported causes aligned with government-endorsed narratives. So the government they were right in line with what PayPal was doing. Biden was slamming the Capitol rioters as domestic terrorists. Don't you dare call them protesters. And then R2, I'll never forget when the president of the United States was up there calling me a domestic terrorist. I was like, oh my God, this world's gone crazy. And they were being really weird. He says, a riotous mob, insurrectionists, domestic terrorists. And assisted accounts facing technical. Oh, no, sorry. Where am I? Oh. Nope. Okay. So basically, the discriminatory enforcement pattern highlights PayPal's collusion with government actors to suppress opposing political speech, causing severe financial, reputational, and emotional harm. So in here I go through the damages, and I'm not going to talk about it right now. But what I'm going to tell you is that this is my complaint. Okay, PayPal does not want you to see this, me to see this. The courts don't want anybody to see this. They're trying to keep this from being accepted into the court. Just letting you know. Okay, I filed this and they're trying to say it's null. That's what they're trying to say. Just letting you know. Okay, so that's all for now. Stay tuned. I'm going to be posting these. Thanks, you guys. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think.